fantastic.
You have to compute what's the best way to score a goal, or is there somebody else in a better position? So you have a look about, you think, well, I've looked at the options, there's none better than me. And so we have a hit, and it ends up in the back of the net, yeah.
Gordon, let's look all the way back then to the early days as we talk about footwear. Do you remember your first pair of football boots?
Yeah, my first pair of football boots were Timpson Shooting Stars. New were Timpson Shooting Stars. Can you imagine today, saying to a kid, you want to wear these Timpson Shooting Stars with your friends at the academy, where they've got boots worth about £200? No, that was it. And I've got to say, from the where the area was brought up in, it was nothing to be ashamed of. That was what you could afford. That's what you got on with. And there was nothing to make you, like social media today, to kind of make you a pariah by saying if you wear these, you're a clown. It was basically that's what you had, and you got on with it. So I wore them, and we were talking about different boots earlier today. So that was they were my boots for about 2 or 3 years. And then my first pair of Adidas boots actually were second hand from a friend called Dave McDonald. So I hope you're all right, Dave. I've not spoke to you for a while. And he charged me 50p for his used Adidas boots. So in between my Timpson Shooting Stars, which were blue, with a kind of blue slash along the side of them, and my second-hand boots, I caused havoc in the football field, especially with the second-hand ones, because they were built for somebody else's feet, and I was basically going in the wrong direction with them. They were taking off and going in the wrong direction. So I did that for a while, got through the embarrassment of the second-hand boots, and because when I joined Dundee at 15, because I was at Hibs for a while, and I got my first pair of boots, and I was explaining the first pair of boots were £4. They were brand new Adidas. The Adidas I had before the second hand was Adidas La Plaz. These were, I think, Adidas Santiago. So they had this wonderful ring to them, the South American branding. And I thought they were going to make me a lot faster. Huge disappointment. For the £4, I thought I must be getting to get a lot quicker than what I am with these boots on. But unfortunately, no, it was the same pace.
So you actually had to buy boots as a young, aspiring professional football player. You had to buy your own boots.
Well, I got them at Dundee, and I that was trying to get the first wage at that point.
What would that have been back in the day?
My first wage at Dundee was £15 a week, and we got to remember I had to buy my own, pay for my own digs, which was £4. I had that. Buy your own food. There was no like the food that you had to do today. So I used to go down to if you know Dundee, there's a Boots down there. I used to hang about there, get a pie with beans, and that was it. That was our afternoon training, and go and stand beside my mates at the bookies, the older players at the bookies. So it was great. So you had that £15, £4 for this, that, and then I learnt my lesson I used to travel up by the train from Edinburgh to Dundee every morning, and I learnt my lesson about gambling because I lost my second week's wages to George Stewart. Do you remember George Stewart, Big George? I lost the wages to him, so I never really gambled since then. So thank you very much, George.
There were, there were quite a bunch at Dens Park back in those days. A lot of experienced players. Was it a real learning curve for you at that point?
Oh, it was fantastic. I learnt everything at that point. But the only problem, I learnt some bad habits because we were talking earlier on about alcohol. I really shouldn't have been drinking alcohol at that age. But I used to think every football player did it, so I just joined in. And I wasn't very good at it. But I stuck at it for a few years to see if I got any better.
That's just typical of you, isn't it?
I just determined that stubborn streak about me. I'm going to enjoy this. So eventually went on to Aberdeen. But that group at Dundee, I learnt a few things, like a lot of good habits, watching Jockey Scott and Gordon Wallace playing football. Bad habits, gambling with George Stewart. Alcohol with Alec Caldwell. So there was good and bad. But I grew up quickly and I knew how to look after myself, really.
You talked about Aberdeen. took you a little while to settle in, and then just the most incredibly successful, 5 or 6 year spell.
Yeah, well, when people think when you went to Aberdeen, it was just instant success. It wasn't for me. I went with Billy McNeil, and I was a huge disappointment. Not only to him, but to myself and the rest of my family. To be honest with you, I think I would be embarrassed the way I was playing, and everybody thinks it's instant success, but it wasn't. I was that guy, and I'm sure you joined in as well, if I remember rightly. That when the names got called out, number 5 Gardner, way, number 6 Wally Miller, bigger Ray, way, number 7 Strachan, oh dear, oh, you can hear that mumbling, and you think, oh, but it was character building. I actually continued during the game, to be honest, when the ball was getting passed about, and especially if it was a long pass. It was a long pass coming to me. You could hear the crowd getting restless. You remember John McMaster, who could hit this ball 50 yards? Well, he used to aim it at me. So there was a 2 seconds warning to the fans that I was getting it. And there used to be this kind of mumble, oh, what has he got to do now? and I didn't disappoint him. It was usually rubbish. But I kind of broke my way through that. And there's 2 things that happened. Billy McNeil left. Not because I wanted him to go, but I felt this thing that I felt I let him down badly because he paid a lot of money for me. And I don't know if it was the weight of Billy moving on, and Sir Alex coming, and then anybody meets Sir Alex, whatever business you're in, your world changes for good or bad. And mine was very good.
Was there an issue at any point, because you're quite a forceful character, and let's be honest, you're quite outspoken, I would suggest, in the dressing room. Did that lead to any moments that you still look back on?
Absolutely. Every second week, probably, or every third week, there'd be something happening. And but I've got to say, I wouldn't have missed it for the world. I speak to people, and I spend a lot of time, and as yourself, speaking. They all want to know about Sir Alex, how he worked and how he didn't work. And they'll say, we had arguments. Of course we did. He had arguments with everybody. But me in particular, I found it very hard to say nothing when he went on the hairdryer treatment, And but as I said to you, over the years, I spoke to many people, and they would have loved it just once to be in the receiving end of Sir Alex Ferguson's hairdryer treatment. So, well, the kind of these people look up to me and think he's had hundreds of it and survived, and survived. And we'll have had arguments over the years, but I've got to say he's easily the best manager the world's ever seen. And if I'd stand and argue with anybody at that point, because where he went, St Mirren, best team I've ever had. Aberdeen, by far the best team I've ever had, and Man United, wonderful period in time. And we got on great now, because we're not so stubborn, both of us now. So it's handy, it's good, and he's actually keeping very well now. I speaking to him recently. We were at the Aberdeen, the statue, unveiling the statue, which was a magnificent statue, by the way.
Yes.
And I didn't realise it was the same guy that done the best one I've ever seen. If anybody, a football person out there, Stanley Matthews one, outside Stoke. It's magnificent. So I met the guy after, and he says, I did that as well. I said, that's fantastic.
And I mean, it's right, clearly, that he has been recognised. All you guys have been recognised as well. More than half the trophies the club has won in its history was won during that period. So you're all there. I know, even now, when you guys all get back together again for the occasional meetings, it's like going back in time, isn't it? You're back in that dressing room almost.
Yeah, I've got to make things clear that the dressing room, there was huge characters in there. Willie Miller, magnificent. McLeish and Miller, 2 best players that Aberdeen have ever had. And you had McGee, you had people like that. Stuart Kennedy, gee, he was. So you had all these voices in the dressing room. But when Sir Alex come in, that was it. We all knew that we knew our place at that point. And he was the boss. Closely followed by Archie Knox. Because, after Alex Ferguson had finished with you, well, you think you've absolutely no respect whatsoever in the football world. You had no respect for yourself whatsoever. You might have thought, I might have 10% respect for myself still left. Archie would come in and just wipe away that 10%, so you'd have nothing left. But the funny thing is that we all recovered from it quite quickly, because that's the way we were. And in their days, you just got on with it. You had to, and I think it was part of Alex. I don't think he realised it, but at the time he was weeding out people who, if you're mentally weak, you've got to go. You can't be a football player if you've got to go to Ibrox and Celtic and play the best teams in the world. Can't have anybody who's feeling sorry for him at any time or can't deal with it. So that was his test, I think.
And interesting too that so many of the players, not just in that team, but other teams that he has looked after, they've gone on to management. It was almost like he was preparing you guys for the next stage in your career.
Yeah, but he also liked to batter you if you were the manager of the opposing side. He wanted to always keep you in your place, that he was the boss. Don't worry about you. Ask anybody, Mark Hughes, Brucey, Marcel, Alec. He always wanted to show you. It seemed about an extra special drive when he came up against his ex-players to beat them. And
You had one experience at Old Trafford when you went back as Coventry manager, didn't you? Which was quite harrowing.
Yeah. I went there as usual. I went there, and matter of fact, before every team I played for has beaten. You know, so funny enough, it was on the TV the other day. There, it was on the number of the manager beat Man United in the Champions League. So it's went on like Ancelotti, Mourinho, one at Juventus, and somebody else. And at the end, the guy went, and Gordon Strachan, as if they think, all right, it went Mourinho, Ancelotti, as if you're not going to believe this. You're not going to believe the next person I'm going to tell you about is me. And I thought, I've got a bit miffed at that one. But anyway, where were we? Coventry. Yeah. Well, you go along there and you put your usual lucky shoes on, and you put your lucky suit on, and you feel great. Let's go. And then you're 4 down after 25 minutes. You're standing there with your lucky shoes on, lucky suit on. It's pouring the rain, and you look around and he's staring at you, thinking, "I'm going to bat." Oh. So at that point, you're actually thinking, "What's the record score in the Premier League?" And I remember saying to one of my staff, he come out and says, "Go and find out what the record score is here." So he's went back. You've got to go back up the steps to the dugout in Old Trafford. So he's sitting over there, and the Beckhams and the Scholes are sitting on the bench there. And one of my staff shouts back, "Gaffer!" I went, "What?" He says, "It's 9." I went, "Oh, no, don't shout it, for Christ's sake." I'm like that, and you can see, and all the Man United substitutes are starting giggling. They start laughing because they know what I've been asking. But anyway, I survived that. Again, that's another harrowing moment, character building.
Just going back to the point where you've experienced them at Aberdeen.
Yeah.
You've escaped, if you like. You've gone to Manchester United, and then you discover that the successor to Ron Atkinson is going to be Alex Ferguson.
Well, to be fair, I had a funny feeling it was coming, because Martin Edwards used to always ask me things about Sir Alex Ferguson. This kept going on for a long time. And, just before Ron left, we still asked him about Sir. It was only Lex at the time. And obviously very positive, And I knew he was on the verge of leaving, because he came to the cup final in 1985 as a guest of mine. And I said, "What are you doing here for?" He said, "I think it was Arsenal or Spurs he was speaking to, but I'm not going. Yeah, okay, fine." So then at the World Cup in '86, he had the room next to me, and he can't sleep at night, coughing and splotting that he does. And I seen him in the morning, and how you doing? And then we started talking football. He said, "There's only 2 clubs I leave for, Aberdeen, Barcelona and Man United." I went, "Oh." So I hope it's Barcelona you go to. So eventually it come down, and it took him a wee while to get going for different reasons. And you have the success that nobody's ever seen before.
Yeah. So you leave Man U and you take a step down. You drop down to the 2nd division with Leeds United. How big a decision was that for you at that point?
No, really, it wasn't a big decision to leave, because I was told to leave.
I'm assuming there might have been offers in the top flight at that point.
Was Middlesbrough in it? I don't know if Middlesbrough, but Sheffield Wednesday were definitely in the top flight. And then I went and met Howard Wilkinson, the last Englishman to win the top division. and a boy called Bill Forderby. And whenever I've met in my career before, it was a case of, well, you've signed for us, or whatever's just playing, let's see where we go. But it was the first time ever that anybody said, listen, sign for us, we need you to do this for us. We need you to lead us back in to the top division because we're struggling, really. We've got to have a right good bash at it. But if we don't succeed with that, then we're struggling as a football club. And it's the first time anybody's put real emphasis on me as a person to lead. The boys at Aberdeen and used to say, well, you lead for the front and you go out there and that's that. But Willie was the leader, and because you can't, he was one of the best. Him and Brian Robson, the best captains ever. So he was the leader, there's no doubt about it. But what it meant by leading was the tempo of the game and attacking wise. It was a different thing. This was actually lead a kind of whole club to get back to this division. So I enjoyed the responsibility. Yeah. I really enjoyed it. So I got back to being captain there and being an influence to everybody around me. And I enjoyed that. And I worked with great people, like Vinnie Jones and Chris Kamara. I mean, some of these people are fantastic to work with. Not the best footballers in the world, that's for sure. Not even the best singers or actors or whatever. But as for drive and commitment and enjoying making people better, we didn't have sports science. We had Vinny, Cammy, myself, a boy called Emery Varady, and we used to just drag people along. It made everybody else fitter. It made Gary McAllister, if you ask Gary now, he had the choice to go to Nottingham Forest or Leeds. If he went to Nottingham Forest, he wouldn't be playing at his 31. But he was a star at 37 in the Liverpool team because he went to Leeds and got this extra fitness that he knew he needed to be a top footballer.
So in that period of time, you win the second division title. You go up
Yeah.
into what was then still the first division. I think it's fourth place in the
Fourth
first
in the
season.
first, yeah.
And then you win the last pre-Premiership or Premier League title there. Do you think that was, of all the achievements in your playing career, was that the greatest?
No, the greatest was, I think, the Championship with Leeds. The rest of them just come to you. Aberdeen stuff, it just came. And we've got to the stage where it's a cup final, brilliant, and you suit. Because we're playing cup finals every week, sorry. So it become, norm. But Leeds, as they said, hadn't won anything for a long time, and they need to get up. But this was first time anybody's asked me to do something, really do it. So when you win something like that, that was the one, the Championship. No, the next one where you won the last Premier, whatever it was. It was 1990, it was. Won the Championship. And I had great fun with that. The atmosphere in the place was magnificent. But it was the thing that, the first thing anybody said, we need to win this. So that was it. So that'd be the most satisfying. The rest were all great fun, that's for sure. But that was the most satisfying one.
Let's talk a bit about Scotland then. You made your debut back in May of 1980 against Northern Ireland. You go on to win 50 caps.
Yeah.
Was it always a dream just to pull on that shirt?
Well, when you're a kid, you have a couple of dreams. One was to play for Hibs and then Scotland, because you had your heroes in the Scotland team and the Hibs team, and you wanted to emulate them. I had other ones like George Best and Jimmy Johnson, but they were the two teams I'd love to play for them. But you never think it. It's only a dream, that. And especially when I was about 18, 19, I thought I had no chance of being that level. And it's a funny thing being the international. You think this is the be all and end all, which is good. But occasionally comes when you're playing with Scotland, like as I said, in the '86 World Cup when I scored the goal. The funny thing about it is when you do that, something like that, you don't think about yourself, because you think, well, I'll enjoy this when you're a kid to score the adulation, but it doesn't really work that way. You actually score the goal. As I'm walking back to the tunnel, up to the halfway line, I'm thinking about Dad in the Sylvan House Golf Club, thinking he'll be bouncing about there with his mates. And wonderful. And my uncles were there, and I knew they'd all be there because they'd all gather on the big telly. So that was the one thing on my mind. It wasn't what you've done or everything, and your family, the kids will be bouncing about. So, but particularly my dad. Yeah.
And actually that game, and scoring at a World Cup finals, I think it's Souness, who plays the pass through to you. And
it was Roy Aitken.
It was Roy Aitken.
Which it was a huge surprise to me.
Well, it's come as a surprise to me, I'll be honest.
Well, the funny thing about it was, through COVID, all these games were coming on BBC, Sports Scene and things like that, and there was a couple of games that I've never seen. I'd never seen the full West Germany Scotland game. So I thought, I'll watch this. So I watched that, and I thought, and I didn't. There was far more passing than I thought there was, because everybody thinks there's passing for the goalie now, but there was far more passing. And two things occurred to me when I was playing, when I was watching. One, Jim Leighton was a far better goalie than I thought he was. I knew he was great. Then it's kind of subsided. Then he was magnificent. Tidiness, everything about him. Apart from his running style, that was horrendous. And then Roy Aitken.
Yeah.
Roy Aitken was magnificent that day. I know there's kind of plaudits went with me scoring the goals, but Roy Aitken was magnificent. So this was about 2 years ago. So I got his phone number from somebody at Celtic Park, and I phoned him. I says, Roy. He's like, who's this? I says, Gordon. Wait a minute, how are you? I said, listen, I've got to say, I didn't think much of a football player really, but you were absolutely brilliant. I was only kidding him. I knew he was a good footballer, but a great character and a great drive for Celtic. A huge player for Celtic. But I didn't realise how good a footballer he was. So I phoned him up after. So I was a bit late, but I was just to say that I thought you were magnificent that day. And he went, you know what, he's like, you take them? I says, no, I'm serious. See you later. All the best, bye.
So, well, Roy, having made that pass, and there you are, you're running into the box on the angle, you're clear, it's the World Cup finals, you're against West Germany. Is it all just instinct that takes over? Or?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. There's no thought the consequences of missing or doing that or doing this. You just go, right. I know the practice you've over the years getting in these positions and taking them, and you just go, right, what's the best? You have to compute what's the best way of scoring a goal, or is there somebody else in a better position? So you have a look about and you think, well, I've looked at the options, there's none better than me. And so we have a hit, and it ends up in the back of the net, yeah.
And of all the images that there are from your career, is that the most enduring one, do you think, the celebration afterwards?
Probably for most people, because, and it's great, because most people now, can you still get your leg over? And I went, yeah, you go, yeah, I got 2 new hips. And saying that, the operations have been great, fantastic. So it's great. First of all, there's when you go about, no matter where in the world, there's this link to people, and it's great. And people think they're annoying you. They're no. People say, I'm sorry to annoy you. No, you're not annoying me. As long as you're nice and complimentary, it's fine. And it makes, when you say the funny things like, wow, it's made my day. And they look at you like you're daft. It does. It makes your day when you meet people and they come up and speak to you and talk football, and you think, wonderful. So they actually think they're annoying you, but they're actually making your day better, which is a great thing. So that there's a few things in my career that people link to, and that's definitely one of them, you know. The other ones that, give us a quick word, so you know what's coming after that, you know. So there's loads of them, but that's a biggie when people try to connect with you, which is great.
And if only you'd been wearing the Mexicana that day, you'd have leapt over that advertising.
Well, I mean, leaping over there with the stuff that we're having today. These the kids are wearing, and I would have bounced over there, no problem, easy. But the problem we were talking about, the reason I didn't jump over is because we'd seen players doing that before. But if you remember in these pitches, there was moats behind the advertising board, and so I thought, I'll leap over here, I'm going to disappear. So played safe.
I mean, there's so many things we could talk about, Gordon. Just I'm interested in your time, certainly as Celtic manager, and the relationship that you built up with Tommy Burns at that time. He's someone who still lives with you to this day, I think.
Yeah, I every week, at least twice a week, maybe more than that, I speak about him somehow. And you get involved in some of the silly things he said, the love that he gave everybody. He didn't dislike anybody, apart from one referee. But even then, he said, I'll have to pray for him. I said, all the best. So he was an incredible man, because when I first got there, who do you have him as my third in command? I knew Tommy quite well. Not great. Wait, listen. We fought like cat and dog on a football field. I mean, really ridiculous. Tommy was he could look after himself on the football field, and he could actually maim other people on the other side, him and Roy Aitken. But I got on great with him in the Scotland squad. I've never seen him for years. I knew he had a couple of knockbacks with the Celtic job and losing that, because he just loved the club. He loved the supporters. That was a big thing. He was one of them. I hear so many people say, I love the supporters now. and it's nonsense. They don't really love support. He understands everything about them, and bringing him, making him. Even if I went to Celtic and won nothing, bringing Tommy in on board was the best thing I ever did, because not only did I have this guide of how Celtic supporters wanted me to behave and I should behave, he would tell me, and his football knowledge. But just what a great friend, what a funny man, but at all the wrong times. If you had another hour with this, I could list you so many times to say things that were hilariously funny 2 days later.
Was he one to offer good advice in the technical area?
Yeah, we can't go into that because I might offend somebody in this day and age. Again, that was funny 20 years ago, but 15 years ago.
Barcelona, I seem to recall, he offered you a way out, didn't he?
We can do that. First of all, because I went to Barcelona and we got beat 3-2 in the first leg with this Barcelona side, which was magnificent. That was the first anybody seen this Barcelona way to play football. People had heard about it, but not really seen it. And their midfield that night, the first leg, was Yaya Toure, Iniesta, and Xavi. We had Paul Hartley and Barry Robson. So all the best lads. So anyway, we had a plan, and our plan worked to a certain extent, because 2 of the goals come from what we planned. But you can't deal with genius sometimes, and they had genius on the pitch. And matter of fact, Paul Caddy made his debut, £400 a week against Ronaldinho. And the funny thing about it was, when you get the team sheets, so I thought, this could be hard for this kid, but he could play, and he had a good way about him. This could be hard. He's got to play up against Ronaldinho, probably the best player in the world at the time, getting pushed with Messi, who was coming through. So when the team sheets come through, I thought, that's fantastic. He's not playing Ronaldinho. It had this guy with about 4 or 5, 6 different names. And I went, this guy's playing. And John went, no, that's a Brazilian name. It is Ronaldinho. So anyway, Ronaldinho played. So it was 3-2. Then we go over to Barcelona. And 3-2 down. And we get there. We pick the team. And we get the dressing room. The boys know the team the night before. And they do all the rest of the stuff. Again, I've got my lucky shoes on and all that kind of stuff. Lucky shirt's sweating badly as I'm walking down the tunnel. And there's a chapel, if you don't know, just going down the tunnel. So Burns says, I'll just nip in there and have a wee prayer. I said, all the best, Tam. He says, do you want me to do one for you? Yeah, that would be fantastic. On you go, Tam. On you go. So we start the game. And I've done the usual speech, this Churchillian speech of, let's keep it tight. Don't give anything away. The fans will turn against them, blah, blah, blah. So if we keep the ball, frustrate them, the fans will turn against us. We're only one, but if we can get a goal, we're right back in it. Great. So the game starts. I'm standing at the touch, but the dugouts there at Barcelona, if anybody knows, they're down. You can only see heads. You can only see heads. And I'm standing, so the game starts, right? They get the ball and pass it, goes back to the goalie, goes out wide, Alves, back into the middle of the field, Iniesta, Xavi, goes out to Messi in the left wing. This is about 45 seconds. Messi beats 2 or 3 people, crosses it, Neto scores. I'm standing there. Well, that kind of plan went right out the window. So I'm standing myself thinking, oh, well, what am I going to do? I'm standing there for about 90 seconds. And I turn around, I seen there's a head missing. Tommy's head, where's he away? And then I can see him coming run. As I said to you, he said a couple of things to me before it in inappropriate moments. And he's coming and I said, well, it's not the time to be funny now, Tam. Seriously, not the time to be funny, because I've not got a clue what to do. We've got another 8 to 9 minutes here. And he comes and said to me, and he put his hand over his mouth. You know the way players do it now? He went, I'll just check and see if there's a trap door out of here so we can escape. And I went, that's no funny. And he went back and he's giggling. And I've still got 49 minutes of this, standing there in front of 90,000 people with this wonderful team against my team. And but Tom's prayer did work to a certain extent, because Messi pulled his hamstring after about 30 minutes. And Tommy just gave me the thumbs up from the dugout. So We eventually it was 1-0, so it looked quite good, but it was terrifying 8 to 9 minutes.
Look, just as we wrap up, Gordon, you look back in your career, you've had so much success, both as a player and as a manager, and the international level as well. What is the abiding thing that you've taken from 50 years in this
It's
game?
not to do with all them. It's not to do with all them. Couldn't be bothered. I know where they are. I know where my medals are. I know where that's another rest. It's fine, and I know they're there. I don't need to see them. They're there. But it's being able to sit with you today and talk about Tommy Burns or something else that hopefully can make people happy. It makes me happy talking about it. So it's generally the I've got to say that I think the football business is the best business in the world. You know, we actually give ourselves a bad name. We actually encourage people to give us a bad name, where we actually are the best business in the world, as far as I'm concerned. And I'm sure there'll be somebody complaining, but it's the best where everybody gets on brilliantly together. And I just love the game, and I love passing on the fun of the game to everybody. And that's a good thing about my career. No matter when my last breath is, I'll still be able to talk about Tommy Burns, Mark McGee, Willie Miller, Alec Ferguson, Vinnie Jones, Chris Kamara, all these, Robbie, all the great people I've worked with. I'll be able to do that.